Okay, so we're on page 1, and this is an introduction. It says Introduction to Blood Brothers and Willie Russell. The Blood Brothers is about social class and identity. And throughout the book you'll notice that there are some phrases or words that are underlined, and this means that these are things that's important for you to understand. I will try my best if there's anything that needs to be explained a little bit further, but if you don't understand some of these, it's important to go away and research them yourselves. Okay? So Blood Brothers is a play about twin brothers, one of whom, Edward, is secretly given away at birth. Edward is raised in a middle-class family, whilst his twin, Mickey, is raised by their working-class mother. Willie Russell uses Mickey and Edward to explore ideas about how social class affects people's lives. So it's looking at the differences of middle-class families, which are wealthier than working-class families, which very often they may not have had jobs and were living off the handouts that the government gave to them. So this is a typical picture of the time of when Willie Russell has written the play. So it says the play reflects the society of the time. Society is how we live. Okay, so number 1 says the play was written in the early 1980s, so that's when it was written, but it's set sometime between the 1960s and the 1980s, so 20 years previously to when it was written. At the time there was a strong class divide, so when it says class divide it means the middle classes and working classes in Britain at this time. The middle classes had more opportunities than the working classes, and this was reflected in things like education, job prospects and wealth, and this was all set out by the government at the time. And the chapters in the play are fictional, which means that somebody else has made it up and written it, but they are used to comment on this class divide. So things like this were happening in the 60s, 70s and 80s at that time. Okay. So this is Willie Russell. So it says Willie Russell writes about class divides. Russell was born into a working class family. So this was the lower paid. His father had various jobs, including mining and factory work, which means that he was a low paid worker. His mother worked as a nurse and later in a warehouse. He grew up near Liverpool, where many of his plays are set. His plays focus on the problems faced by working class people. He writes a lot about social divides and how someone's class can affect who they are. So in 1947 he was born in Wiston near Liverpool. In 1963 he left school aged 15 to work as a hairdresser. In 1967 he returned to full-time education and trained as a teacher. In 1971 he wrote his first play, Keep Your Eyes Down, whilst still a teacher. In 1981 he wrote Blood Brothers as a play. He adapted it into a musical the following year. In 1984 he was nominated for an Academy Award for the screenplay for Educating Rita. In 1988 there was a revival of Blood Brothers opened up in the West End. In 2012 Blood Brothers closed after a 24-year run, making it the third longest running musical ever performed in the West End.